everyone. This is your host, MÍtalks, and welcome to the NSSR, where we encourage you to run your own race one day at a time. I'm really excited for our next guest today, but I will not ramble so that way we can get to the point. Dr. Ross, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you for having me. As Tommy mentioned, I'm Dr. Ross, Dr. Sydelle Ross. I am originally from the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. So I came to the US as a foreign student for undergraduate training. And currently I am an anesthesiologist, also a pain specialist, and I more recently have been practicing hospice and palliative medicine. So that means that after medical school, I did 4 years of residency, anesthesiology residency training, followed by 1 year of subspecialty training for a fellowship in pain medicine. And I, as I mentioned, now practice hospice and palliative medicine. So that's kind of a summary of my credentials. I also am a classically trained vocalist.
I saw that. And I was very excited when I saw that, and I hoped you would talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was a child growing up in Trinidad, I used to tell my parents, my mom in particular, that one day I would become a singing doctor. Even my mom at the time, everybody thought it was cute, right? But the singing part of it wasn't really encouraged. It was something I could do as an extracurricular activity, something I could do for fun, but certainly not something that other people thought I could make a career out of. So they really encouraged me to pursue the doctor piece. And I enjoyed it. I absolutely did. And because it was something that I also wanted to accomplish, something I wanted to pursue. That was a dream of mine. And so I didn't mind, but over the years I came to realize, and we'll come back to this, that I was letting that part of me, that part of me that wanted to be a singer and loved music, that part was dying. And so it's funny how things come full circle. I eventually was able to find a way to incorporate that into my practice of medicine.
Wow.
And that really has made all the difference. So I became the singing doctor that I always said I wanted to become. I came to the United States for my undergraduate training, knowing that I was going to become a doctor, right? So I knew that I would have to be pre-med. And one of the reasons that I was really excited about coming to the United States for my undergraduate studies was because this educational system here in the US would offer me the opportunity to study broadly. So I could be pre-med, but I could also pursue other academic interests. And I love foreign languages, foreign cultures. And so I decided that I would become a French major. That was one of my passions. I just absolutely loved French. And I decided that I really wanted the opportunity to study it in greater depth. I wanted to go to France. I wanted to learn the language, immerse myself in the culture, and coming to the US would give me that opportunity.
Right.
Because there are the study abroad programs and
that's right.
Yes. So I get here and I have my first encounter with the pre-med advisor, who essentially says, well, that might really be a reach. Medical school, are you sure? Because first of all, you're from the Caribbean and it's too costly. You're not going to be able to afford it.
That's just rude. That's disrespectful.
Complete disrespect. But at the time, it didn't even dawn on me. That didn't strike me. It didn't strike me that way. I just figured, I'd let her bump her gum and it wouldn't really deter me from pursuing my goal.
There you go.
She said what she had to say. So it was too costly. And at the time, I think I might have met with her after my first semester. So very first semester, it was a tough transition for me.
Oh, of course.
My GPA was not stellar by any means. And so she said, yeah, if you don't end up with a 3.5 GPA, you might as well forget it. So all things considered, it looks like I would recommend that you consider podiatry or maybe even nursing. Now, nothing is wrong with those professions, right?
At all.
But that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't come.
Exactly.
I didn't come to you for that purpose. I felt that it was her responsibility to help me achieve my goal, not to discourage me and to dissuade me from doing what I set out to do. But anyway, I let all of that slide and decided that I would just keep going. My family back at home in Trinidad, they were incredibly supportive throughout the entire process. They still are. And that helped to keep me going. I also remember going back to this lady, going back to the advisor, once I had chosen my major, French major. Well, she basically then said, well, now you've really given yourself no chance.
I can't. Why?
Because I told her that I wanted to do the study abroad for the year.
Yeah.
I wanted to spend my junior year abroad. She said, well, pre-meds just don't do that. Learning to forgive is a critical part of the growth process. I've learned that the hard way. And so I've learned to forgive this lady. So yes, pre-meds just don't do that. Pre-meds typically take the MCAT at the end of the junior year. They have all their requirements done, the pre-med requirements, and then they apply in their fourth year. And so that by the time they're ready to graduate from college, they have an acceptance from a medical school, and then they go on to medical school.
Right.
Well, I said, again, thank you for your time, thank you for your advice, but based on what you're telling me, I'm not persuaded. I'm not buying it. I just don't see why I can't be pre-med and still go to France for a year. So that's what I did. Had not yet done physics. So I decided that while I was in France, I would study physics on my own.
Okay.
Get the curriculum, study it on my own, and that I would take the MCAT in the summer between my junior and senior year. So I got back from France, did nothing else but study for the MCAT. Nothing, like literally nothing, all day. In my pajamas for 2 months straight. I did take a Kaplan course. So that helped to guide me, but that was my focus. And I took the exam, went back to campus, fourth year, got my MCAT score. That was my target score. I made it. And I said, well, I'm taking a gap year. I'm taking a year off so that I can apply at that point during that time.
Right.
The gap year wasn't a thing at that point. Again, this is the late 90s.
Right.
So it's about 20 years ago now. It was not something that a lot of people did, but I figured that, again, based on my goals, I didn't see anything wrong with it. So I got a job. I lived with family in New York City, had the time of my life, and I, hit the interview trail running that year. I remember I had about, honestly speaking, 15 interviews.
Wow. That's what happens when you do medicine on your own term, folks. Those interviews are officially over. It's over.
Actually, this may be the first time that I've actually articulated this entire experience. Anyway, I hit the interview trail hard, and before I completed all of my interviews, I got an acceptance from the school of my choice, and I accepted that offer, obviously. Stayed in New York City, had a great time in medical school because of my classmates, a handful of classmates. They understood the importance of providing support and resources for students of color. And from the very beginning, that was available. And so they made us feel very comfortable. And some of my closest friends now are some of my colleagues from medical school. Now, certainly in medical school itself, I had some detractors and certainly people who discouraged me from, believing that I could achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Right.
But again, having the resources with my fellow students of color, having minority faculty of color to support us, right, that was critical.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, one of the things that I've realized is that it doesn't matter who people are, what station they are in life, what they do in terms of their career. Everybody, it may sound cliched and trite, but everybody serves a vital role on this planet. Everybody serves a purpose. And everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. I will tell you that the security guards, the housekeeping staff in the cafeteria, they all looked out for us.
Yeah.
Because we saw them. So late night, oh, you're on call, or you're working late tonight.
Slide you a dish.
Yeah. Because they know we broke.
They know. God bless everybody that has ever looked out for us. Let us a little extra spoonful of chicken.
Yes.
God bless you.
You want? Yes, I'm gonna put aside some food here for you. When you finish, just come here if you're too tired to walk home, you can sit down with us and watch TV. That's like the housekeeping staff, the OR staff, you know, the OR techs, the OR aides. Yeah. Late at night, you know, I'm kind of afraid to walk home by myself. Security guard, I'll call you one of the cars. Don't worry about it. Just wait here. You know?
That's how it works when you see people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one of the lessons that I've learned. And I encourage everybody to make that just a part of their daily practice. You know, to really think about how you treat people. Because, and so this, again, in the hospital setting, you would see people, fellow physicians, talking down to people because they don't think that they're on their level. Professionally and whatever, you know, socioeconomically or what have you, right? For whatever reason. But again, first of all, you don't know who is who.
Exactly.
And you know, putting that aside, everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. So I fought my battles, accomplished what I set out to accomplish. Residency, check. Fellowship, check. Became an attending. During my first job right out of fellowship, I came to realize that something was missing. And that was very hard for me to accept. While I knew that something was missing, it took me a few years to accept that I was not working at my best. I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I felt that I was called to do more in life. And so I ended up actually quitting that job with nothing else lined up.
Wow.
Yeah. And took some time to do some soul searching. It turns out that at that time I got pregnant. I had a daughter, our first daughter. And during that time, I tried to think about the things that have always mattered to me, the things that have always given my life meaning and purpose. And I always came right back to music.
This is guilt tripping me as you see the piano in my background.
Yes. Never let that go. There are moments when that will be what carries you through. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have to find some way to work on this part of who I am. Because I knew that I was not going to then go back for more formal training at any institution to hone or enhance my skills as a vocalist. I wasn't going to do it that way. I didn't have the time. And I wasn't going to give up my career in medicine as a physician. So I found a voice teacher who could give me private lessons. Been working with her ever since. And I did that because I wanted to offer the best to my patients, the best that I could give them.
Right.
And so she and I have been working together. When she heard me sing, she was like, the first time, she's like, well, this is what we're going to do. I think you're capable of singing these operatic arias. So we're going to work on opera.
Wow.
I was like, me? What? And I was thrilled because a lot of opera is sung in foreign languages, right?
That's
and
true.
Being a foreign language enthusiast, I was like, this is right up my alley. And classical music is something that I'd always been familiar with. Growing up in Trinidad, I went to Catholic school, grew up Roman Catholic. So that's the musical tradition that I grew up in. As I began to offer the gift of music to patients, right, that was kind of a big step too, because I second-guessed that for a long time, thinking nobody would care, nobody would really think of me seriously as a musician, as a singer, as a vocalist. Maybe they would laugh. All of the negative self-talk and just the noise, right? The useless, the unnecessary, the chatter. But I broke through that. I decided that I was not going to let that dissuade me. And my first encounter with a patient, he happened to be a jazz musician.
Wow.
And I'd had some interest in jazz as well. And so I would sing some of the jazz standards, you know, My Funny Valentine, Summertime, just to name a few. And he happened to be on hospice at end of life, cancer patient. One of his dying wish was to have a bedside jam session. So I got together with some friends of mine, trumpeter, saxophonist. I was the vocalist. And we performed for him during I think it was the day before he died.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, thank you. And so after that, I was like, yeah, there's no turning back. there is no turning back. This is it. This is who I am. This is who I'm meant to be. This is my purpose. And it's such a liberating feeling when you actually discover your purpose. Yes. I mean, I knew it, right? I knew it, as children can be very wise. I was in touch with that part of myself, with who I am at the core, even as a child, right? Yeah. And so now there's really no turning back. In fact, I entered a vocal competition last year, and an international vocal competition. I placed 3rd. I'll be singing at Carnegie Hall in New York City. So that is a synopsis of my journey thus far.
No, this is amazing. And I'm so glad that you told that story, because it speaks to so many elements of the struggle. Even pre-med, med school, residency, we struggle at every step, right? Because every single step we're facing people that say you cannot do this, or people that say you should not do this, or you were not made to do this, right? So for somebody who is at that point, what would you say to that kind of person?
So I will say that, you're going to hear it, right? It's going to happen. As I said, in some way, shape, or form, you're going to be discouraged, but know that those words are of no value. The only limitations to which one is subjected are one's own limitations. What is necessary in those kinds of situations is finding people, seeking out people, coming into communion and fellowship with people who will provide support and guidance. Not hate. Nobody has time for hate. So it may take some effort to try to seek them out, but they're there. I mean, there are days when even patients will have you second guessing yourself. I've had encounters with patients who say, well, and to them, and it comes across in such a benign way, right? You don't look like a doctor. I've even had someone say to me, they saw my name before they saw me. Dr. Sydelle Ross, I was expecting a man. And the thing is, when you constantly hear these things and experience these things, if you're not careful to guard yourself against the harm, right, that these things can do, it can really affect you psychologically.
This is a not so smooth road. That doesn't mean you have to walk it alone.
That's
Find
right.
people that are going to help you. Yes.
You shouldn't go it alone, even with studying.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the value of that earlier in my training.
Same here.
Yeah. I was always studying by myself, in high school, even in college, studied alone. Not many of my friends in college were pre-med. So
that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, right? Correct. We could talk about that all, for the rest of the night. So I studied alone. And so I got to medical school, and initially, that's what I did initially. Then I realized that the people who were studying in groups actually did better.
Found that out the hard way too.
Yes. And that's because you become more aware of the deficits, right? And the gaps in your knowledge when you're talking with others, and other people are kind of quizzing you.
As somebody who did a completely different major from what the normal major is, what do you say to people who have that other interest that they may want to explore in college while still being pre-med?
You have that opportunity to explore other interests, other academic interests. I didn't even know that that's what would happen.
The other question I had was, to the creatives, because that's a whole nother group of people.
Sure.
There are people who are thinking pre-med, but also they have this creative side of them, or, they're already in med school, practicing in residency. And to your point earlier, where you felt like your creative side was starting to die, how do you encourage people to hold on to that? Again, I say this as I'm guilt-tripped by that thing behind me.
I see your keyboard is right there.
I really shouldn't have put that there, but whatever.
Well, I'm glad it's there, because even after this conversation, I'm going to keep bugging you about it. I'm just recently starting to establish my presence on social media. And I was pleasantly surprised to see how robust the physician network is on social media. And there are physicians there who are doing all kinds of creative things. So they are physicians, but they're also chefs. They're mixologists, right? They have an interest in creating these amazing cocktails and beverages. There are dancers, right? The singers like myself. Yeah. So I feel that if that creative part of someone is there within them and they really want to tap into it and express it, the opportunities are there. I feel like now, I mean, this is now 20 something years later, I feel like the mindset is changing and we don't necessarily have to pigeonhole ourselves into one career. We don't have to necessarily pursue any one particular passion. We can pursue various passions, various interests. And as an anesthesiologist, I realized that it was very ironic. For a long time, I wasn't even paying attention to my own vital signs. We have to continue and remain committed to the things that keep our hearts beating.
Amen to that.
I'll just put it that way, succinctly.
I'm getting over here convicted. That was not the intention of this video, but it so happened that I'm sitting over here getting convicted about that thing behind me over there.
Yep, as I said, and I'm not going to let it go.
No, but it is very real. You know, I remember coming to med school because in college I was in church choir a lot. I used to try to write songs here and there, write music, write poetry. But then coming to med school is stressful. It's stressful.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of you.
It really does. And I realized that, you know, if I didn't fight to keep my creativity, it was gonna leave. It's kind of like one of those language things. You use it or lose it.
That's right.
So I let that go for a while, and I could see a palpable change in my personality when I did not have the things that kept me sane. I did not have a way to outlet, a way to express myself. I didn't have any of that.
You cannot let that happen to yourself because there's no way you're going to take care of other people if you ain't right.
That's where part of this channel came from, is just, you know, finally letting myself have this creative outlet, one, to be a blessing to other people, but also to be able to do the very thing. This has been on my mind for years. And so when I say I've been convicted, on all fronts, okay? And I really hope that speaks to somebody, because I think that's one part of this smooth road we don't think about, because we put med school and medicine as the goal, as the ultimate.
The be all and end all.
And that's not it. It really isn't, because yes, you will fulfill part of your destiny that way, but you also have to remember that you're human. You were a human being before you became a doctor.
Absolutely.
So what made you a human being before you became a doctor needs to still exist after you become one. Don't ignore your passions. Don't ignore your dreams, and don't sacrifice them either. This is, again, a message that you can be both. You can be a doctor and whatever you're interested in.
Absolutely.
You don't have to let that go. And I think that's part of the journey that you have to acknowledge, is that, you know, how do I pursue all the things that make me me? And that's a hard conversation to have with yourself sometimes.
Yes. When I quit that job right out of my first job right out of fellowship, I remember like falling on my knees one day and just like bawling, thinking, what have I done? I mean, I sacrificed so much for so long to achieve this, and now I feel like I'm still not where I want to be. Something is still missing. There's a part of me that's still not, a big part of me that's still not fulfilled. And after, as I said, the soul searching and the thinking of and reflecting and thinking of the things that have always mattered and given meaning and purpose to my life, always came back to singing. I took the leap of faith and I've been running ever since.
If you don't engage all the parts that make you you, how are you going to ever find the combination that makes you unique?
That's right.
How are you ever going to be? Because how many anesthesiologists do we have in the world? I love them, by the way. I have several friends that are anesthesiologists. And no, this is not the equivalent of I have Black friends, okay?
Right.
I actually love them.
There's that.
I love and respect all my anesthesiologists. But I'm serious. How many are there? But I know anesthesiologists that are writers, amazing writers.
Oh, yeah.
I know anesthesiologists that are singers, dancers, amazing creative human beings. And they've left the mold of what their career said they should be by finding aspects of their own personal being that can fit with medicine and combining them in very unique ways. That's how you shine. But I am so grateful for your time and your just openness, to telling your story, speaking to people, speaking to me, letting your story do what stories are meant to do, which is reach out to people, connect people, and inspire people. Hopefully things like this will speak to the fact that you're not going through this alone. There are people who have traveled a similar road and come out on top. It is possible. It is something that you can do, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So, one last question for you.
All right.
I promise. So let's say somebody, sees this, laughs through it, cries through it, thinks about their life through it, looks at the piano behind themselves through it, and decides that, they want to ask you some more questions. How do people connect with you?
Certainly. So I guess the two best ways to do that would be through Instagram. My Instagram handle, Sydelle Ross, MD. And you can DM me that way. Mm-hmm. There's also an email link. Feel free to reach me that way as well. And also LinkedIn. I know a lot of people are connected on LinkedIn these days. Sydelle Ross, MD. I want to be reached. I want to be reachable. I want people to come to me and share their stories and include me in conversations. Because this is what we need.
Yes.
So Sydelle Ross, MD.
I am sincerely so grateful. Thank you for using your powerful story to reach people. And again, guys, this is a whole physician that is saying, I want to be reached. I want you to connect with me. I want you to reach out to me. Please reach out.
Right here.
And the same thing with this channel. If you see something and you really connect to it and you would like to be connected to more people in this area, if you'd like to get more mentorship, we are open, we are available. This is the whole point of this channel, to foster community. And once again, don't let the creative side of you die, because that is you too. And you were there before medicine came along.
Just be true. Those are my watchwords now. Be true. Be true to yourself. Be true to what makes you who you are.
All right, guys. So thank you for watching. Thank you for connecting with us, learning from us, hearing from us, laughing with us. We hope that you stay encouraged. We hope that you get the motivation you need to get back out there and do what you're supposed to do what you're meant to do, and continue to run that race to medical school one day at a time. And even past that, keep running it, because it's not going to stop anytime soon.